We're considered pretty much scumbags, I suppose.
We'd just work half a day. The surf pump, we wouldn't work at all.
When I'm away, I do miss New Zealand a lot. Living the simple Kiwi life is pretty good.
I still froth on surfing. Whenever it's good, I'm still running around like a grommet, just foaming at the mouth to get out there to get some waves.
Hell, that's old.
Raglan in the old days. They actually come out pretty good, from 60s and 70s, the footage.
That board there looks like an old float boat.
Mate, that looks like a barge.
Still surfing all right, though.
That looks like 4-foot stent road, I reckon.
But look at it. It's not crowded like today.
True.
The Maunga Taranaki, pretty cold place in the winter. We used to go down there and suits weren't as warm as they are now.
50 years of surfing together. Still doing it.
50 years of surfing together and I still put my wetsuit on back to front. Woo, look at that.
Yeah.
We learned to surf in Raglan. And so in those days in the 70s, it was uncrowded. So we had a lot of surfs to ourselves. That's why we live in Taranaki now, because it's still got that opportunity.
There'll be other places that are really packed with crowds and we just go and find another spot. We call them B-grade waves, but they're still a lot of fun.
There was a very dim view of surfers by the public in general. They thought it was some kind of cult where their daughters might be perhaps in danger of meeting a surfer and all the consequences of that. I mean, if you were going to university, you'd never tell your lecturers you're a surfer. And that's why I filmed. So it was really trying to give the public a real perspective of what it was really like so that they would maybe regard surfers a little bit better and maybe even give you more license to do it and maybe even date their daughter.
We're considered pretty much scumbags, I suppose. We didn't go to school together, as in we went surfing instead. And of course, I'm a big guy, pretty good runner, pretty good rugby player, but I'd go surfing from 7 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock and then turn up for the game and just be shattered. The coach was one of my teachers and he wouldn't talk to me because I just was wasting my life being a surfer rather than being a rugby player. Irrelevant whether I could write or read or, do sums all right.
It was impossible to buy a camera back then that would actually withstand the waves and the water, so you basically had to think of how to make one myself. And this is basically a $7 wind-up camera in there. Here is the secret to keeping it sealed. That's my first wetsuit. Inside here, the camera is a wind-up job. You wind this up and it lasts you for 30 seconds before you have to go back in and clamber over the rocks, take it to pieces, replace the film and wind it up all over again. Out you go. Still goes. Can't believe it. What's that, 50 years?
Didn't really know how good Taranaki was, but we all jumped in a van and we came up to surf in the Nationals. We got amazing surf, so I never went home, just stayed. Rang Mum and said, can you send me $30? I need somewhere to stay and get some food. In those days we had no internet, we didn't know what the swell was going to be, 6 foot or flat, or what the wind was going to hardly do, so we'd just work half a day. The surf pump, we wouldn't work at all. Uncrowded waves, just to ourselves. We don't realise how lucky we were.
In 1973, there was a gas shortage. The problem was we couldn't get to the surf. It was burning gas to even know what the surf was like back. The first question was, what actually caused the surf? It was not known then how the ground swells appeared in perfectly fine conditions. So what we needed to do was to actually perform some kind of monitoring on the surf arrival and relate that to the weather map. And I made that my mission. Everything was built from scratch. I had an ulterior motive for inventing this machine, which is supposedly for the meteorologists, because I wanted to predict the waves so that I knew when I could go surfing.
Yeah, forecast looking pretty mental for the west coast, so we've come over here to Taranaki and hopefully we score some waves, eh? Oh, Uncle just kind of hooked that one.
I just want to get out there before kiwi. Proper. I've got to show him who's local. So I'm basically on the road for about 10 months of the year. When I'm away, I do miss New Zealand a lot, especially flying back in. I straight away notice the clean air, and just living the simple Kiwi life is pretty good. I'll go down to my favourite spot and 20 people out, I think it's crowded, but I know everyone, and yeah, it's just a friendly vibe. Growing up, I was most of the time the only female in the water, which was pretty scary sometimes, but pretty cool as well. And yeah, all the guys looked after me, and a lot of them were my inspiration. Several years ago now, we had a championship tour event here in Taranaki. I started noticing straight after that there was a lot more girls in the water, which was pretty cool to see. And even just the other day, I was out surfing and there was more girls in the water than guys, which is awesome compared to 10 years ago.
I'm on who stay smoking. Yeah, I'm robbing sons, stay low-key till I'm famous on my Dave Dobbin ones. Iconic, I get anything I need if I want it. You like Mr. Me Six, look at me. Nice pockets, nice other half. Another thing she yours, I might cop it. Looking at my face like she wanna climb on it.
I turned proper professional when I was like 17, qualified for the World Tour. At the time I was just a grommet and didn't really think of it as too much, but as the years go by, I guess I can appreciate how hard it actually is. Maz made the way for all of us behind him, and we could actually see what we could do as Kiwis.
Maz Quinn was a huge inspiration for all of us. It kind of gave us the green light to think, hey, like guys from New Zealand can make it. My first comp I did was Maz Quinn's King of the Groms comp in 2009. He asked me if I wanted to be sponsored by Quicksilver. Well, I didn't even know what sponsored meant, so I just said, I'll ask my dad. Maz is still the man. Yeah, he's still ripping, still smashing the lip.
Grew up down the south end of the beach, stock route. Yeah, it was pretty amazing just waking up early before school, getting out there. My brother, my sister and myself have all been national champs at some stage, so it's a pretty cool feat for our family. It was 2001 when I qualified. Just one of those years that everything started clicking. They had good boards, felt confident, and guys were making a lot of coin, and it's just made it a lot easier. You didn't have to worry about when you're going to get your next paycheck. Now it seems it's a lot harder. You see a lot more blank noses out there with no sponsors. One day I just said, I want to be a pro surfer, and yeah, I just had blinkers. All I wanted to do was everything I could possibly do to achieve that goal. Surfing's pretty selfish, so you got to be selfish at some stage, and yeah, you know, I still froth on surfing. Whenever it's good, I'm still running around like a grommet, just foaming at the mouth to get out there to get some waves.
He still is, I think, a big inspiration to a lot of surfers around here in the competitive surfing area, but New Zealand has a lot of great free surfers, and I feel like Luke Sederman was probably the pioneer of free surfing in New Zealand. Fade.
Oh!
Kickstore. Oh, nah.
Don't be so pessimistic about it.
I don't even know what pessimistic means. My dad made me surf out here. It was pretty similar to this. And I pretty much just had no choice, and there was no one out there, and just got rolled. Played a bowl.
And your dad was out there with you and showing you how to do it?
Yep, and he got lit up too.
Oh, good job. You know how to talk into a microphone, eh?
I think so.
Welcome to the Raglan Surf Report, and I'm with a guest. I haven't had a guest in a while.
Here's my introduction. My name's Kiwi Butler. I'm part of the Raglan Surf Report podcast.
I didn't ask for any of that information because this is my podcast. This is not yours. You can't just hijack my podcast. But I was just going to say that anyway, so I guess you've taken the workload off me.
Luke Sederman, he's a crack-up fellow. Most people probably know him off Raglan Surf Report.
Millions of waves are going by unridden each day. Fortunately, there's an alternative way to get your surf fix. Climb on a roof and then paddle in. It gives you the adrenaline rush of big wave surfing, but without the danger. The Raglan Surfboard, I try and take the piss out of surfing and out of surfers and surf culture. See, that's the problem with surfing, is everyone takes it too seriously. So I wanted to take surfing and make it less serious.
There was no one really like Luke. He's the man, especially out here in Rags at the Valley. That's his spot, I reckon.
You know, I've watched him grow up, and he's grown into a very large man. But he's by far one of the best goofy footers that I've seen in this country, hands down. His talent is just like something else. He's a perfect example of someone, if to put his talent into competitions, he would be on the world tour. He's that good. But obviously, he can't think past his big feet, so those feet stay in New Zealand.
Even if you suck at surfing, you can still come to Raglan and you're still going to suck at surfing, but you can suck at surfing for a longer period of time because it's just a long peeling wave. Whereas a lot of breaks around the country, you can only suck at surfing for just like a very short period of time.
Remember that time I beat you at Rules when I was 12?
Me? You never bet me. When?
Fulcrum comp?
When you were 12?
Yeah.
How big was it? Flat?
Pretty much.
Yeah, well, exactly. See?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100 kgs, bro. I can't surf little weight. When you look at surfing and what it is, it's just a whole bunch of people who are floating around in the ocean and trying to have fun. Like, the whole thing is based around fun. At the end of the day, we're all just a bunch of people like frolicking around in the water. It's not that serious.
I can see there's a good batch there if they've got the right guidance. You know, all those things just equal keen little surfers.
Rick's showed the ways, qualified twice, which is harder than doing it the first time.
We've got the talent, but we just happen to be at the arse end of the world.